Hey y'all, it's Kristen. Welcome to the Tribe Podcast. Tribe is a resource podcast for entrepreneurs looking to build their entrepreneurial tribe. Over my years of working with business owners, I've realized that it's important to know who you need as a part of your network before you need them. Listen in as I ask my trusted resources the question you've always wanted answers to but didn't want to pay to get. If you're new to your business or you're established and you're just busy, feel free to borrow my tribe as you build your empire. Hi, y'all. I get lots of questions as a financial advisor about things that you should be doing with your money and how much is too much and where to save and what to spend. And occasionally, I actually end up referring people to a banker. I don't think most of you guys really know what it's like to have a good banking relationship or even why you should need a relationship with a banker as a business owner. So today we're going to chat with Heather Hurd from Frost Bank about banking for business owners. All right. Well, welcome. We have Heather Hurd on the show today. Hello, Heather.
Hello, Kristen.
I'm glad to have you here. I think your business is going to be one of the ones I'm most excited about because I don't think people realize how important it is to have a good banking relationship. So I'm looking forward to getting into that a little bit. But before we do that, can you tell us a little bit about you and how you got into the banking business?
Okay. Well, I decided a long time ago that I thought it was important to pay attention to my money. And so throughout my childhood and my adult life, I just was always really conscientious of it. I lost my father when I was 12. And so that really impacted the way I thought about saving and money and making sure I had all of my things organized as I grew up. And so it was kind of a natural fit. I went to college and I got a finance degree. And when I moved to Texas, I attended Texas Wesleyan University and I got my MBA and just continued to find the banking industry interesting to me. And then I got on board at Frost, where I'm a commercial banker and in the North Dallas area. And I've got clients in Tarrant County and in Dallas County and have really just put my knowledge of finance to work for me and to work for my business owners that ask me questions.
Yeah, so I'd love to hear more because a lot of business owners are going to be listening to this episode and they're probably wondering what kind of services they should expect from a bank, why it's important to have a relationship with a banker. Can you give us some insight on those topics?
Sure. So the relationship with a bank is critical because it works both ways. It allows the banker to be less reactive and more proactive when it comes to their client needs. And so when you have that relationship with your banker, you tend to discuss more things, you discuss them in greater detail, and you discuss them more deeply. Whereas if it's a high-level relationship where, you see your banker and it's just a hello, you're doing yourself a disservice by not stopping in and visiting with that person and sharing with them what you're doing. And those are the best things to do when you're a business owner. You need to take the initiative to visit with that banker. If they don't reciprocate that, then that might not be the banker that's going to be best for you. Mm-hmm. So some people have a high, level of interaction with their banker and that works for them, and others maybe don't want that type of relationship. But it's still a good one to foster because you never know when there's something that comes up that you might need your banker, and they may not be familiar with all of the ins and outs of your business, and maybe they can't be nimble enough to assist with your timing as the business owner.
So can you give us an example of maybe problems that people bring to you that you help business owners solve that maybe aren't super obvious to us?
Okay, well, there's thousands of things that business owners have to attend to, and they can range anywhere from, they all of a sudden have a tax liability, or they get, there's a situation where maybe they need money that is for a lawsuit or something like that, because of maybe an employee or an accident or a product failure or something like that. Or, there's all sorts of little things that come up. And each business, depending on what industry they're in, of course, are going to have things that really pertain to them. So most businesses are really looking for lines of credit, because with a line of credit, you can use those for pretty much anything, preferably, incidental things that come up maybe unannounced while you're waiting for cash flow to come in. Mm-hmm. That's typically what customers are always needing, is something to kind of cover their cash flow crunch. And then others will come in and, they need financing for their accounts receivable timing differences, for inventory, or maybe they have a new client that they're onboarding and there's an upfront cost for that, for whatever service or product their new client is requesting of them. Mm-hmm. So, we do things like, there is always a lot of urgency with the business owner, because they're running the business. They're in the business day to day, and that is what they do. And my role is to help them fulfill all the obligations that they have, which includes access to capital.
So how early in your business life then would it make sense for someone to connect with someone like you to talk about a line of credit or getting accounts opened up?
Well, it's definitely important to start that process right away, because a lot of times, if we're talking about like a new business, like a startup or something like that, even if it's an existing business that is going to, or has created a new product and that R&D costs money, it's always a good idea to engage with your banker sooner, because a lot of people will spend their money that they have in their accounts, and then they'll come in for financing. And what will happen is sometimes there's a need for that capital that could have been utilized with a loan than just with a coming in after it's already been spent. Mm-hmm. So we can help a lot easier when the customer actually has the cash, or the client has their cash in their account. Then we can really structure a loan that works for them, where they're not utilizing all their cash right up front. And then a lot of times they'll come in and they'll look for more cash. And that's sometimes when it's harder to get financing. You really have to orchestrate it well. And it's not easy. And business owners sometimes, they may not have time for that because they're wearing so many hats.
Is there a certain interval that you think it makes sense to check in with your banker? Is it once a year, or how often should you get in touch?
Well, it depends on the relationship you have with the banker, but it's also the banker's role too to get out there and see their clients. Mm-hmm. So I always don't feel like the customer should be coming and knocking on my door or calling me all the time. Mm-hmm. I mean, if they need to, they definitely can, if there's an issue that needs to be resolved. And obviously we do that every day. But it's also our responsibility as bankers to get out there and to reach out to our clients. So the world has changed. We no longer sit in our offices and wait for people to come in. We need to be more proactive and be out there among our clients and check in with them before an issue arises or before a need is discovered.
Right. So is there anything else that you think we should know about your industry, or why an entrepreneur would want to make sure they have a good relationship with someone like you?
So the banking industry it ebbs and flows and it changes, and we are all regulated. All banks are regulated. And a lot of times I see with borrowers and new clients that come into Frost, they're unhappy with their current banking relationship because nobody speaks to them. Nobody tells them what's going on with their account. If they request something from whether it be their banker or their back office folks, they just find it really difficult to navigate through other financial institutions. So most people, when I see them, they're coming in frustrated. And so it's really important to, make sure that the bankers are sharing with their customers why things have changed over time. And just with legislation, it has changed. The rules are a little bit different now. Our underwriting practices have changed. Certain formulas have gotten a little bit more stringent. Mm-hmm. The amount of liquidity that a business owner or owner may have is important. The leverage, how much debt is existing that the customer is servicing. There's limits and levels that we kind of all have to operate in. And I think understanding that as a borrower is really important. So then this way you can team up with your banker that you like and say, okay, here's where I am. What does this look like to you? And if it's not meeting what your criteria is for your financial institution, like tell me what it is I need to be or where I need to be within those parameters. And that's been really helpful when people have come in, because I usually see people after they've been declined for a loan at a few different places and nobody will ever tell them why they were declined. And so we talk for a little bit and I try to understand what maybe they were told and kind of extrapolate out from there, maybe what their reasons were, but they weren't told.
Yeah.
So the industry is different. It's changed. Some banks have an appetite for more risk than others. We've been around for 150 years, so we're pretty steady and we stay the course on what would be our type of bread and butter loans. So we're not a high risk bank. We don't do a lot of investment property, and because it's just, it's inherently risky. So we prefer real estate transactions that our owners are utilizing for their businesses versus, large retail shopping centers or apartment complexes and things like that. There's other banks that can certainly service those types of deals.
So you have a target client that you are looking for or that you work with the most?
I do. As a business banker here at Frost, my target market is small business, and those businesses have revenue ranges that are less than $5 million. So as a business owner, when you're looking for a banker to help you and work with you, you definitely want to make sure you work with a banker who works in that realm. And I say that because you will get probably a little bit more attention if you're within the confines of the banker's wheelhouse.
Right.
And the knowledge that banker brings to your business and what your struggles are based on your size is more relevant. And normally the bankers that work with the small business owner, we're used to working with that small business owner. We know how important their business is to them and how they operate and the high touch that sometimes they want and they need. Mm-hmm. And so we can provide that as business bankers or small business lenders, because the borrowers sometimes want to know more information, and we've got that expertise to kind of walk them through the processes, however they look.
So you seem to be considered more of a specialist in the small business area. So if someone's got 5 million and under, they can expect that you've seen a lot of balance sheets and have helped solve a lot of problems in that size range, right?
Right, because a lot of the small business owners in that size range don't have an on-staff CPA or an on-staff attorney. They don't have those connections yet with those individuals because the size maybe, and it could be, it's expensive to have, those types of folks on staff. They can also be expensive to retain. So, the small business owner really watches their balance sheet and their income statement and making sure that all their line items on their expenses are, as controlled as possible. And if there's any, outliers on the income statement, they want to make sure that they address them and understand why there maybe was a difference year over year or quarter over quarter, depending on how often they do their financial reporting.
Right. Yeah. I think the biggest reason why I decided to do this podcast was because I realized in working with clients that own businesses day to day, they feel like they're the only people that have the particular problem that they have. And then when they have it, they don't know who to ask about it because they don't know enough professionals that service businesses, because they spend their day with their team, with their clients, doing whatever work they're doing. And so the goal is to meet somebody like you who knows how to diagnose an issue, and then you can either help them solve the problem or get them an introduction to somebody who would be appropriate to help them.
Yeah, I've been blessed to have that since I've been a business banker. I'm only as good as what my clients and prospects and friends tell me. And I've been told so much over the years that I've been able to really help clients with similar issues to find resolution, ways to navigate around things, connect them with other people who had similar situations occur. And so it's been great for me to have listened to my clients over all these years and to pay it forward to those who maybe haven't experienced certain things yet. And then all of a sudden something happens and they reach out and, I may not know how to solve it, but I probably could refer you to somebody who can really help in figuring out how to kind of regain control if things are, spiraling, or if some unique situation occurred. I've connected a lot of people. Of course, I get permission from the folks who have shared with me. I get permission to see if I can connect somebody else with them to kind of go over something. And most everybody's really grateful, and they want to share, what they went through with a particular situation that was very similar to the person I referred over. So I'm blessed with a lot of good clients that don't mind talking to, newer business owners, younger businesses, things like that, as they kind of work through their growing pains.
Yeah, no, I find that very valuable. Even as another professional, I may come across something that I'm not exactly sure what to do with. And I know in the past, I've been able to call you and say, hey, this is going on. I don't know what. I have a feeling this is more of a banking issue than an investment account situation, but I'm not exactly sure what to do about it. So I appreciate that.
Oh, sure. I'm glad to hear what everybody has to say.
So we're rounding the corner towards the end of our time, and I want to ask you my favorite question. I'm going to preface it with, I've received a range of answers, many of them very sad. So if you would like, is there a story that you'd like to tell us? It can be a client story, a funny story, a story about something that happened in your personal life. It could be about dogs, whatever you would like.
Oh, goodness. I'm always listening to everybody else, that I hardly ever get to share my own personal stories. I'm always trying to be a problem solver or a connector. But one of the things that I guess what I really enjoy about, where I am in my current stage of life and my career is that I'm able to bring people together. I'm able to share with them, and through whether it be education, like financial literacy for some of the nonprofits that we work with, and then share other experiences that I have that kind of bridge things between myself and those I'm surrounded by, for that commonality and that bond. Of course, I know you've got your dog, and we've got dogs in common, among other things, as professional ladies. But, talking about our puppies is always fun, and you get a smile on your face. So I guess, I have seen and heard so much, and I've helped clients do all sorts of things that they've been happy with. And, as long as my clients are happy, it's good. And as long as, I can sleep at night. So I guess, there's tons of stories. But, I live on a farm also when I'm not at the office. So personally, I do enjoy getting out of town and helping my husband with our little ranch. So I've really taken to that pretty well for many years now, actually. So I get some downtime, and I get to get out of the city, get off the concrete and the asphalt, and get out to the grass and, and the wildlife. So
that sounds pretty cool. I'm going to have to invite myself out sometime. I don't know what I would do without asphalt and city lights.
Well, it's the sky is beautiful at night.
Oh, I bet.
Well, you'll have to come out, Kristen.
Yeah, I will. So I'm glad we're able to spend some time together. If someone's been listening to this and they're thinking, man, I really would like to learn more about services offered by Frost or how to connect with a business banker, what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
So I'm located in Richardson, Texas, right off 75 in Campbell. And I could be reached, through Frost Bank. If you're not familiar with Frost, it's frostbank.com. We have a location finder on our homepage. We also have an 800 number that you can call and ask to be connected to me in Richardson. And I've got an email address, heather.hurd@frostbank.com. And of course, if any of your folks reach out to you to be connected to me, then I'm sure you can kind of help facilitate that as well.
I can do that. Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for your time, and I look forward to seeing you on the farm soon. Thanks for hanging out with us, and I appreciate you listening to this episode. I would love to get some great feedback from you. Feel free to leave me a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. Also, any ideas or want to follow up on anything that happened in this episode, I would love to receive your emails. You can email me at kristen@ashtoncharles.co. Otherwise, I hope this episode has helped you be great in your business.